Everyone turned when the elevator doors slid open. A quiet hush swept through the shiny lobby. She stepped out, shaking from the cold, soaked by rain, and splattered with mud from the knees down. Her clothes stuck to her skin, her hair was plastered across her face, and her shoes made a wet, squishing sound with every step. In a place full of neat suits and polished shoes, she clearly stood out. People whispered. A few chuckled quietly. Security watched her closely, ready to act. But something in her eyes, strong, steady, made them stop. Her name was Emily. She was 25, didn't own a car, wore no fancy brands, and barely had enough for bus fare. But her heart was full of hope, and in her hand was a resume printed that morning at the public library. She had woken up before sunrise to get ready. But on her way, she saw an old man fall near a flooded curb. While others walked past, she ran to help. That made her miss her bus. She dashed through a construction site to catch up on time, but slipped in the mud trying to take a shortcut. And now she stood here, in the lobby of one of the city's most powerful companies, tracking mud across marble floors, clutching a folder soaked with rain. People around her wondered why she was there, but she didn't flinch. She hadn't come to impress with looks. She came to prove she belonged. What they didn't know was that this muddy young woman was about to show them something they'd never forget. It would all start with one shot. She had left home before daylight, her clothes pressed, her resume tucked safely in a plastic sleeve to keep it dry. Her small, worn umbrella barely held up against the storm. Still, she kept going. Today could change her life. As she stepped outside, she saw Mrs. Harris, her 80-year-old neighbor, struggling to carry groceries up her front steps, rain soaking her thin coat. Without a second thought, Emily ran over, forgetting about her umbrella. "Let me help you," she said softly, lifting the bags and walking the old woman inside. She didn't think. She just acted. By the time she left, her bus was long gone. She ran, hoping to catch the next one. Her shoes slipped on the wet sidewalk, her breath fogging in the chilly air. She cut through a construction zone, her only hope of making it on time. That's when she slipped. Mud splashed across her skirt, covered her shoes, and smeared up her arms. She got up, heart pounding, but didn't stop. Most people would have given up right there, called it a loss. But not Emily. "She needed me more than I needed to be early," she'd later say. And in that moment, soaked, cold, and filthy, she kept running toward the opportunity she was afraid she had ruined. What she didn't yet know was that the kindness she showed that morning would soon become her biggest strength. The boardroom gleamed, wood and glass shining under bright lights, a sleek place built on power and dreams. Around the long table sat other candidates, dressed to impress. Perfect suits, expensive watches, confident smiles. Their resumes listed Ivy League schools and flawless experience. Then the door creaked open. Emily walked in. Mud stained her skirt. Her sweater was damp and stuck to her skin. Her once beige shoes were soaked and dark. The room went silent. Heads turned. One person smirked, another coughed and shifted in his chair. Quiet whispers floated through the air like smoke. She felt every eye on her and every step pressing against her skin, but she didn't show it. She walked slowly on purpose and took a seat at the far end of the table. The CEO, a man in his 60s with silver hair, looked up from her resume. One eyebrow rose in quiet interest. The room went still. The air felt heavy with things left unsaid. Then Emily spoke. "I know I don't look the part right now," she said, voice calm and strong. "But I believe character should count more than appearance." Silence followed. One interviewer blinked. Another candidate shifted awkwardly. The CEO didn't say a word. He just stared at her, really looked, and something in his expression changed. Behind the soaked clothes and the mud, he saw something the others didn't. A woman who showed up anyway, who didn't let judgment stop her from trying. And in that silence, something began to shift. Something small, but powerful. The room stayed quiet, her words still hanging in the air. The CEO leaned back for a moment, thinking. Then he slowly set her resume down, leaned forward, and spoke. 30 years ago, he began, his voice calm but full of memory. I walked into a bank interview covered in grease after a night shift at the auto shop. The room stirred. A few candidates glanced at each other, not sure they heard right. I was 22, no college degree. I worked nights fixing cars and spent my days studying at the library. I was tired, broke. When I showed up, the receptionist almost turned me away. He smiled slightly, eyes drifting back in time. He could see it all again. His young self with greasy hands, oil-stained jeans, and nervous eyes, sitting across from a polished banker. The awkward looks, the doubt, the silence. But one man saw past all of that, the CEO went on. He listened. He gave me a shot. That one chance changed my life. He looked straight at Emily. Today I return the favor. I see grit. I see honesty. I see someone who didn't let mud or stairs stop her. That's the kind of person I want in this company. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. She nodded once, and for the first time since she arrived, she smiled. Something had changed, not just for her, but for everyone in the room. Weeks later, the office looked the same, bright, modern, and full of quiet drive, but something felt different. In the middle of a busy meeting room stood Emily, no longer the girl drenched in rain and mud. Now she stood tall, confident, and calm. She led the meeting with clear ideas and a steady voice. The team listened, not because they had to, but because they respected her. Outside the glass wall, the CEO watched, hands in his pockets, smiling softly. He wasn't just proud, he was reminded how one small decision can change everything. Later that day, in the break room, a nervous new intern spilled her coffee. Her face turned red with embarrassment. Emily walked over, knelt down with a napkin, and helped her clean it up. "Don't worry," she said gently, smiling. "We all have our moments." The intern smiled back, comforted. Emily didn't just get the job, she changed how the company saw people. She reminded them that behind every messy first impression or rough edge, there might be someone remarkable. In a world that praises perfection, she proved that kindness, courage, and determination shine brighter than any polished suit ever could. And in doing so, she lit a path for everyone who would follow, muddy shoes, shaking hands, and all.